So after all the build-up of solo movies, some good, some Godzilla King of the Monsters, and then the delays, and then the trailers, and all the hype, and the memes, which honestly did more to promote this movie than the actual marketing. Godzilla vs. Kong, a movie where Godzilla and King Kong punch each other, is finally here. So let's talk about it. Okay, so I'm going to discuss some mild spoilers, nothing too crazy, because I know it's not being released everywhere right now. But if you're a big nerd who wants to go into this film knowing nothing, then be warned, I guess. Also, I'm sorry this video is late, but I actually have a pretty good excuse this time, which is that I was pretty unwell. Wasn't the Rona, because we don't really have that here. But I was pretty unwell, so yeah. So overall, I've liked what Warner Brothers have been doing with their MonsterVerse. Godzilla I really liked for its more grounded approach, and Kong Skull Island I really liked for its more stylistic and out there approach. And then Godzilla King of the Monsters was pretty It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it felt like a lot of wasted potential. I'll probably get into it more some other time, but yeah. So I was cautiously optimistic for Godzilla vs. Kong, and it was fine, I guess. Like King of the Monsters, it's just really I mean, you get what you want from this movie, there's big dumb monster fights, but aside from that, not much else. I mean, the movie looks cool, there's lots of neon and there's a synth score, and then Wingard definitely leaves his stamp on this movie. The end credits are even in the John Carpenter font, and that's what I liked about it. And I guess for a lot of people, having cool monster fights is enough, and I guess it would be for me too, but that only makes up some of this movie. It felt to me like Warner Brothers initially had a film like King of the Monsters on their hands, and after that film wasn't received too well, they panicked and cut down all the human stuff as much as they could. I think this has basically been confirmed at this point. Does this mean I want an extended cut? Hell no. The human stuff in this is by far the worst aspect of this movie. Some of the dialogue is even worse than in King of the Monsters, and I'm really glad it was trimmed down. But I think they should have trimmed it down even more. The human stuff is basically separated into two plots. The main stuff is Alexander Skarsgård and friends following Kong around, which was fine. And the other subplot was Brian Tyree Henry and friends trying to uncover a conspiracy theory, and that was kind of unbearable. I like all of these actors, but the writing for them is just so unfunny and makes them so unlikable. And it's so dumb. Without spoiling too much, this feels more like it takes place in the Pacific Rim universe than in the MonsterVerse. Because the MonsterVerse movies were somewhat grounded in reality. But this just goes off the rails. And I'd be okay with it if the other movies were this dumb, but they're not. So it really doesn't feel like it takes place in the same world. And their group don't even interact with the main group of humans, so it just feels so unimportant compared to everything else going on. They should have been trying to find Godzilla. Because speaking of, we don't get much Godzilla in this movie. Kong is the main focus, while Godzilla's the antagonist of this movie, and there's only one Godzilla action scene where Kong isn't involved, and it only lasts like a minute. So, if you're a Godzilla fan, you're probably going to be disappointed with this. Also, King of the Monsters feels kind of useless now because the movie's ending is just completely undone. Remember those titans who now worship Godzilla as their alpha? Yeah, Godzilla killed them, off screen. It's revealed in the opening credits. Believe me, it's not a major spoiler, so don't come at me. And it was so clearly done last minute, like they needed an excuse for the other monsters not to be there. Despite me ranting, this movie isn't awful, and it's not like the filmmakers set out to make Citizen Kane Part 2, so honestly, why should I care? Fans of these movies are just gonna brush off all my criticisms because, it's just big monsters fighting. It's not about plot, or themes, or allegories. It's just about monsters fighting. I hate talking about this movie. I'm gonna give Godzilla vs. Kong the perfectly neutral score of 5 out of 10. Again, I didn't hate it, I wouldn't mind revisiting it eventually, but if they make another one of these, I just hope they try harder. Anyway, that's what I thought about Godzilla vs. Kong. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate it. If you want, you can follow me on Twitter at aaaggghghgh. Leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Oh, I forgot to mention, another part I liked was when Kong popped his shoulder back in by smashing against a building. That was fucking awesome.